value watch because they know that they can be more successful because of this. So it is absolutely rife. And of course, they'll explain to you once you've handed it over within 24 hours, you've been compensated. But the reality is, you're never going to see that money again.
I'm just sat there thinking about these stories to come up with to try and con people out of their money. You said it's been a net like 25% increase. Did you say 795? Is it 1,795?
Yes, sorry, yeah, 17, yeah, over 17, almost 1,800 reports in the last calendar year. So yeah, it is horrific.
More than you actually thought they were.
That's the segment I thought.
Who's being targeted here?
So, if you look at it, the reality is, from my experience, we know it's the vulnerable. They'll exploit that elderly community. So the average age is 77, but in fact, of all the reports we see, 62% of those are aged between 76 and 96. I mean, I've dealt with a victim, they're 102 years old. I mean, just think about that for a moment, the impact that will have on them. And they're very convincing, they're very sophisticated, they're very controlling, coercive. So they'll ensure that you don't tell anyone, because if you do, it will, compromise your investigation. The reality is, it will thwart their ability to get any more money off you. And they're of the generation that they trust the police, they trust the banks. Why would they question that authority? Sort of go along with what they're told to do. And it's terrible. But behind every statistic, there's a vulnerable elderly victim. So it's not just the financial loss, it's the emotional impact it has on their confidence, their ability to trust strangers. And we deal with the aftermath, as do families and friends. So it's just a horrific situation. But we've seen it as well, rural villages are targeted more. Again, lack of CCTV, lack of community police in that area. So we've seen that. In fact, sorry.
Where is this happening? Some areas have seen a surge, haven't they?
Yeah, very much so. So if you look at the southern home counties, as it were, so bordering London, we've seen the most prevalent areas is the Met. 402 reported, that's the tip of the iceberg reports. Average loss there is about £16,700 between 24 and 25. Tailored right down to Hampshire, where in fact it's one of the lower reports with 89 offences, but in fact the average loss there was over £19,000. But I investigate these all the time. It's my day in, day out job. And the majority of the offences, the majority of the criminals operate out of London. So the counties are on the arterial routes from London by train, by car. It's easier to target these sort of areas. But anyone can be targeted anywhere. And in fact, we've seen in Northamptonshire now a slight variation where the Indian community have been targeted, suggesting by criminals that they've been involved in money laundering and they need to move some money to some police accounts. And in fact, in one case, we draw £10,000 and hand it over to a courier. So this is the first case of this kind, but it just shows that the criminals, they will adjust and vary according to the demographic that we're targeting.
You talked us through there the types of operations that these criminals are taking out and how they're focusing on the vulnerable. What's your advice to people in this situation to make sure they don't get caught out?
My headline advice, Geoff, is awareness. Awareness that neither the banks nor the police will ever cold call you suggesting there's some sort of compromise on your bank account, that you need to provide sensitive financial information, or that you need to hand over your bank card or hand over cash that you've withdrawn to a bank to a supposed police courier. So it's awareness of that. It's a really key thing. But equally, there's always that time criticality. When they'll ring you up, they'll say there's a rush. You need to work with this here and now. So my advice there is pause, take a moment, digest what they're saying, and tell them you'll ring them back. So terminate that call. And as I've said earlier, they hold you on that line. So wait till that line is cleared, or ideally use another line, or go to your local branch and speak to them. But if you feel that you have been a victim of courier fraud, it's really important that we law enforcement know about it. So contact the police, contact Action Fraud. Of course, if it's an emergency where you feel that a courier is coming, it's 999. But again, let's talk about this. Tell your loved ones, tell your neighbours, so we can thwart the ability of these criminals to take away these victims' life savings in order to fund their lavish lifestyle.
It's a very powerful message you say there, Mark, and you said it's just the tip of the iceberg that being reported. If you want more detail on how courier fraud works and where to report it, go to bbc.co.uk/morning live. Thank you, Mark.
Raising awareness, very important. It is 10